That's it. Now, stop the bleeding. Focus. Good. You succeeded. Mastering your breathing. It will open many doors for you. Now, it won't solve everything, but it will help. You will continue to grow stronger.
Thank you.
So, we're doing a little code connection. Code connection with Jupiter, Zeus, Zeus Ammon, or Zeus Amun, and Amun, the connection to electricity or lightning, because Zeus and Jupiter is connected to lightning, and lightning or electricity is connected to Frankenstein, which is connected to resurrecting a corpse. And of course, we know Jupiter or Jupiter, like a Jupiter, Zeus, Jesus, Jesus, you know. And as I'm pointing this out, again, it's all for understanding the truth about, you know, these different symbols. Also, it's going to point out, like, all right, dang, you know, the aspect of how I talked about, like, we're dealing with one being, and this is also a part of ourself. So let's also get that in there, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is also you and me. So everything that I'm pointing out right now is also a part of you and me. And this connects with the video. I did a little snippet video about, again, we dealing with like one quote unquote schizophrenic being, but it's not necessarily schizophrenic. It's just, you know, a being that goes by many different names, like all the little monikers of, you know, God going by many different names and things of this nature. But again, it's one aspect, you know, or one archetype, or, you know, one aspect of God. Is not the source of the universe in that sense of it, you know what I'm saying? But with the Amun energy and connecting, again, electricity, resurrection. Now, of course, electricity runs through our body, you know, and I'll show the video and draw the little connections from what I talked about. Matter of fact, I'll do that right now. You know, I reference in this. So also you could see a book that talks about this too. You know what I'm saying? But you have the theology of electricity. You know what I'm saying? And this video, it's on Patreon. It's called Note Session Number 9, connecting the I chain or the binary algorithm of the genesis, you know, and also connection to computers and body tech, electricity, because also within computers you have quartz crystal. Quartz crystals are piezoelectric. You know, they piezoelectric, you know, and quartz are you know, important ingredient, in essence, are important component to computers, you know, because for the most part, even a computer could be almost seen as like a corpse or something that, you know, is inanimate until, you know, you add electricity to it. You put some electricity to it, got all these little quartz connections and all these little things connecting the motherboard, and you got a functioning computer, where at this point, you know, it didn't advance to the point of a functioning computer that could also talk back to you, you know, in certain ways. And the body, the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with the body. And one would say that whatever spirits, because again, it all has to deal with spirits, you know, whatever spirits are more so behind, you know, the creation of computers, it's possible that those spirits were trying to like recreate what was done with the quote unquote human body. And as we look at theology, and the etymology of theo is also connected to deus, and check out my video I done on divine timing, where I break down the etymology of divine and deus, and you know how that connects to duality. And so you see deus also connects to quote unquote a sky god, which connects to Zeus, you know, being in the sky, Mount Olympus type of energy. So you see that connection there. And this is just a little simple, just, you know, having it all written out. Electricity, Jupiter, Ammon, or Amun, Zeus, aka Jesus, with the resurrection, because Jesus resurrected, you know what I'm saying? He was resurrected. You know, and then also the videos I did, you know, with the Sith Lord and Voldemort, and basically all these beings that have like either pale skin, and then also dealing with electricity. You know, because the Sith Lord can make the electricity come out his fingers. I got the videos, the connecting the dots, and other videos about that as well. And again, Frankenstein, because they needed the electricity. Dr. Frankenstein created, quote unquote, the monster Frankenstein, in essence, through, you know, channeling electricity into a bunch of corpse that were basically, you know what I'm saying, plastered together. And dang, I just caught like a little indirect download about the anime Soul Eater, because on Soul Eater at the academy, one of the teachers was Dr. Frankenstein. So bam, I'm gonna have to dive into that on my own separately. And again, using resurrected bodies to get higher learning, because you also see like what the archetypes, you know, Jupiter deals with, you know, higher learning. And I'm like, all right, with the resurrection of a corpse, or just resurrection in general, you know, it's like resurrecting something, but basically like dealing with getting higher learning in a DNA or genetic library or a seed farm or a garden. And basically coming into this realm or being in a physical body, being on earth or in a physical body, you know, it connects you to DNA, a genetic library, and a genetic, in essence, memory, because a library, in essence, is like keeping records, you know, like Akashic records, you know. And you could sit in a library, just like a library, again, it's just a genetic library, but you have this genetic library, and you could sit there and learn so much. And again, this also connects to Mr. Sinister from X-Men, which another connection I made in the Voldemort, Sith Lord, and then what's his name? Amida Maru, if I'm saying it right, from Naruto. You know what I'm saying? With the bright skin, and he was real into genetics and resurrection and stuff like that, you know. But yeah, you know, Jupiter with the lightning energy and the big circle on Jupiter, the actual planet, quote unquote, you know what I'm saying, and the pictures, you know, not getting into, you know, the whole aspect of like the external planet stuff and all that. as far as like, oh, it's, it's really about like the planets, like that's actually Jupiter out there and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? But it has some type of connection to the deeper aspect of the symbology and the archetypes and what the archetypes in essence stand for. But Jupiter, the big circle that's depicted on the quote unquote external aspect of the Jupiter planet, is considered a storm, and when we talk about storms, word to storm from X-Men, that deals with lightning and the ability to resurrect through lightning, and you also see it on a mundane level in the hospital when they hit you with those little charger pads, they clear, hitting you with that electricity, to quite literally resurrect you or prevent you from transitioning in so many ways. You know what I'm saying? But just keying in on, because this is an aspect of Jupiter energy, and that's not really touched on, is also like the Jupiter aspect of the lightning and Jupiter, Zeus, and resurrection. And then also seeing how the resurrection aspect would connect to Jupiter's representation for higher learning and philosophy and, spiritual practices. And, what I'm saying? Jupiter is that aspect, you get that higher learning in a DNA or genetic library. Because for the most part, a lot of us are, into learning while we're within this planet or within this plane of existence. So bringing it back to Amun, and this would also, as this picture reminds me, the crystal turquoise, is the birthstone of Sagittarius, and Sagittarius is quote unquote ruled by Jupiter, as Amun was depicted as blue. And Amun also, what this also gets into with the Amun energy is Amun Ra, and the Amun energy being like hidden or like hiding things and being like a, on some secret society type of vibes, and as you see right here, Amun and Amunet are mentioned in the old Egyptian pyramid text. The name Amun, written I-M-N, is meant something like the hidden one, or invisible, which is also attested by epithets found in the pyramid text. O you, the great God whose name is unknown. And also the child of Amun is Kansu, which is a god of the moon. Amun, the moon, the moon has a dark side, a side that is hidden, from sight. And Kansu also connected to Thoth, a Jehudi, which is also connected to, again, the moon and Mercury. So Mercury is connected to Thoth, but also the moon is connected to Thoth. And Kansu and Jehudi is almost one and the same. Video reference for this, as far as for my channel, is the 2-part video I did on Janubis and atoms. Check out that. And again, etymology references, book references, because in a world where, it's still like, in a world where even spirituality are just more so like what we may call like, spiritual groups or spiritual knowledge, and how it's like, oh yeah, we sharing the truth, and we, the truth coming out, the veil. It's still a lot of shit that's not being said and hidden, you know what I'm saying? This is one of the aspects. And so right here you see, again, Zeus Ammon and Jupiter Ammon. He came to be identified with Zeus in Greece and Jupiter in Rome. You know. Let's see. Also known to be the king of gods, and you know, there's the thing with Zeus. Zeus was considered to be the king of gods. You know, sitting on Mount Olympus. Amun Ra in this period held the position of transcendental self-created creator deity par excellence. He was the champion of the poor or troubled and central to personal piety. You know, the champion of the poor and the troubled people. You know what I'm saying? No judgment, but you know, of course, any of us who had any little connections to underworld transits, you know, are being, you know, going through a house's transition, or, you know, you done been through like places like a Skid Row, or, you know what I'm saying? Like that's, you know, champion of the poor and troubled energy. And with Osiris, Amun Ra is the most widely recorded of the Egyptian god. Ra's name simply means sun. Like most gods in Egyptian mythologies, gods had multiple names. And again, the multiple names, again, multiple dimensions of one being. You know what I'm saying? One being traveling, whether it's, you know, Enki, you know, because even the whole Enki and Enlil thing, to some extent, is, you know, like a twin aspect of one being when you go deeper into it, you know. But it ultimately does split into, you know, two different beings getting into the, you know, you could say, like, as the text change and age, you know what I'm saying, it becomes like different beings, but in essence, you know, it's dealing with one being, but you have this part, so all right. Let's see the blue skin connection. So here, which this also connects to Indra, because Indra in essence is like a, you know, like a lightning god, and to some extent like a version of Zeus. And it even stated that Indra did not like dark beings, or beings that had like a dark tone to them. Almost, we'll say skin to a certain extent, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, he just didn't like dark beings. And you could find the Vedic text if you just search Indra's, like Vedic texts of Indra disliking dark skin. You know, you'll find it. And I may even look it up while I'm here, but that part is not the important, just showing again the electricity connection. And again, this video would also draw some connection to mythology, is anatomy by law, the Vedic and Druid connection, you know, because oak trees known to be connected to electricity. I'm looking for also the reference I made with, as a matter of fact, this is that Now Live Now 31 video. Also, this would have some jewels that'll connect with it. The moon's first appearance in Arcadia, in the arcade. And this also, again, Harry Potter connections with the lightning strike on the head and Hephaestus. And the Zeus connection, the lightning connection. All right, here we go. The celestial arc connections as it pertains to turquoise crystal and Sagittarius archetype. You know, and you got the turquoise was mined in the Sinai Peninsula, and Sinai also was like said to be the mountain that Moses received the tables of the law from God. And turquoise associated with the sky are deists, and the study of quote unquote, you know what I'm saying, like gods or God is theology or deology, a deist, you know what I'm saying. You also see a little close little Zeus, you know, close to you know, the word Zeus. And this also connects with Anansi. But Anansi asked the sky god Nyame to give him ownership of all the world's stories, but Nyame was like a sky god. And check that out, like I said, with Jupiter and higher learning, Jupiter, Zeus, sky god, Deus representing sky. And then also, again, look at the etymology of auspicious, like an auspicious symbol, you know. Auspicious didn't mean that it was necessarily like a message from God. Technically, it was a message from a bird, you know. And a bird would be significant to a god that associates itself more with the sky. Because the birds fly, the birds connecting with that energy more. So again, turquoise, and the turquoise again was on King Tut's sarcophagus, you know, in Kemet, Egypt. You know, it was a very important stone, as just as much as lapis lazuli, another blue stone, but that has a whole different connection and more connected to the underworld, especially when you look at Sumerian texts. You know, lapis lazuli is mentioned a lot in Sumerian texts. You know, but again, turquoise connected to Sagittarius archetype, which is connected to knowledge of the celestial arc. You know, or the bow and arrow. And a bow is like an arc, as you see right here. It's like a little arc. And hence why Sagittarius and ninth house in astrology is associated with higher learning. Again, another aspect of it, you know, is knowing the celestial arc. But then it's also, again, like as it say, let's see, with Anansi asking the sky god Nyame to give him ownership of all the world's stories, you know, looking at the world as the earth, or again, this DNA library, you know, this genetic library, this seed library, this seed garden, you know, and a garden with seeds also connected to the cartoon Steven Universe. They called the place where the crystals were born in essence, these crystal seeds were born in a place they call kindergarten. You know, just to And as I say this, what came up is like, first having, the study of, etymology and the study of ancient texts more down pat. And then secondly, comes in the references to cartoons and stuff like that, because first, you want to make sure that you do have like that awareness of the etymology and, the ancient texts and how that all connect. And then it just makes it fall into place with referencing like, anime or cartoons and movies and, other things of that nature. Stories that would be shared as fictional and, it's just a cartoon or just a movie, but it's referencing, ancient texts, and you check the etymology and it also aligns with the etymology. So it's like, all right, this all adds up. And again, as you see, Dia, sky god, divination, divine, duality. And this goes into the Sumerian text, because Enlil, in essence, is Anu is more so the heaven god, or in essence sky god, but then his quote unquote son is Enlil, and Enlil is responsible for or connected to the fact that Enlil connected to air and was created with the separation of heaven from earth, and it speaks on how Enlil connected with his mother, in that way. And again, his mother being the earth, and earth, again, that DNA library, and with Enlil connecting with his mother, that goes into, I had, again, before even the book knowledge, like DMT trips, my own personal spiritual experiences of the whole little breakdown of like being born from a mother, but then later even having sex with your mother, and that's a whole little, generational healing type of thing, you know what I'm saying? So you see that connection too. And so what I also was gonna do, it may pop up. All right, yeah, and you see right here, Zeus Ammon, depicted as a, ram-headed, having ram horns. And this also ties into Alexander the Great, but I'm not familiar with too much of that connection. Oh, you seeing that electrical, but dealing with, again, resurrection cults, like doing Frankenstein type of work, you know what I'm saying? And also doing things behind the scenes, or having cults, or, basically groups that hide themselves and tap into resurrection. And you even see, again, with the Frankenstein situation, you see that all connects. And if you follow through and watch it, in all the videos that I'm referencing, and seeing the books that's connected to it, and the etymology that's connected to it, it just becomes, undeniable in essence. You would have to be in denial to deny it. And just bringing it full circle, it's not making anything good or bad, right or wrong. It's just being aware of ourselves. Because also seeing, as I'm talking about the whole Amun Ra thing, and things being hidden, and moon cults and Amun and all this, We may even see why some of us choosing that path of like sharing the truth a lot. You know what I'm saying? Because we may, again, like that energy of hiding shit on that type of level was one, that's a part of us, you know what I'm saying? And it's like becoming aware of that and seeing like, all right, sharing that so it becomes something that's not so, still kind of quote unquote tongue in cheek or hidden, you know what I'm saying? But just a simple code connection. Again, as we code connection with electricity, Jupiter, Ammon, Amun, Zeus, aka Jesus, the resurrection. Again, the whole little Sith Lord, bright beings, powder, and I had that on here as well, but which is referenced in the video too, but where is it? Again, struck down by lightning of Zeus. Harry Potter with the lightning on his head. A Harry Potter, because Hephaestus and Vulcan were depicted or described, I should say, as having a hairy body. And they were potters, they created, you know what I'm saying? Like, more so that's connected to Khnum. Because Khnum is a creator god also from the Kemetic or Egyptian pantheon, and no coincidence that he has ram horns or has a ram head, and also depicted with a hairy body, So you see, all right here, white, Voldemort, Sith, Powder, the movie Powder dealing with the electricity, But that's simply it, Code connections.